Hi, this is Steve Roy, author of the Killer Stand-Up Online course. In this video, I want to talk about bombing on stage as a comedian. I have personal experience myself with this aspect of stand-up comedy. Most people are not aware that I actually tried stand-up comedy in the early 80s before I made the decision to try it again in the early 90s. And let me tell you now, my first experience at stand-up comedy had such a negative impact on me, I didn't even consider attempting it again after almost a decade. Here's what happened. In 1983, I had a part-time job as a barback at a local bar. I managed to talk the bar manager into letting me do 3 minutes of stand-up comedy after the magician who was performing in the bar one night. There were about 50 or 60 people in the audience. After the magician finished, I was introduced by the MC, got on stage, and started talking for 3 minutes. And let me tell you now, it was the longest 3 minutes of my life. Nobody laughed, and after I got off stage, it took almost 10 years before I had the courage to try stand-up comedy again. I remember the experience like it was yesterday. So here's what I can tell you in retrospect. Like most people, I thought that you simply had to get on stage, talk, and audiences would laugh. I had absolutely no concept that stand-up comedy was a rehearsed performance that is honed and tightened over multiple performances. I had no idea what a punchline was relative to me and my own sense of humor, nor did I have a clue about how to use that information in a stand-up comedy routine. I had no clue about how to structure my material to get the most laughs possible each minute I was on stage. And to make matters worse, I had invited a couple of friends to the show, and they got to see me bomb on stage firsthand. So here's what I can tell you if you've gotten on stage as a comedian and didn't get the laughs that you wanted. First of all, stand-up comedy is a rehearsed performance that gives the appearance of spontaneity. By that I mean it appears that what a comedian has to deliver to an audience sounds natural and unrehearsed, even though it is carefully structured and rehearsed. On a related note, if you use notes on stage, you just don't have much of a chance of generating significant laughs with your stand-up comedy material. If you don't know what a punchline is relative to you and your natural expressive comedy traits, you're not going to get many laughs with your stand-up comedy material. And if you don't know how to structure your stand-up comedy material to get 4 to 6 plus laughs per minute, you're not going to have much impact as a comedian. I could go on and on, but here's what I want you to take away from this video. As a comedian, the last thing you want to do is to get on stage and to simply try to wing it. That is a surefire formula for bombing. One of the things that I recommend new comedians do is to go to a professional stand-up comedy show twice, so that they can see that the professional comedian delivers the same honed and rehearsed comedy material show after show. You also need to know this. It takes knowledge, skill, and effort to develop and deliver a stand-up comedy routine that will generate significant laughs. Another thing you may want to do is to check out the 5 free lessons in the Killer Stand-Up Online course if you want to know why the conventional information about developing and delivering a stand-up comedy routine just doesn't work for most people. But here's the bottom line. Believe it or not, if you have comedy talent, real comedy talent, bombing on stage as a comedian is mostly a self-inflicted affair. So if you want to have an edge in stand-up comedy, be prepared to develop and deliver a stand-up comedy routine that will get you the laughs that you want.